You don't.
Not about to let my little bro f the money out.
I know that.
I love him. And
I know that.
Keep this fast. Cause they gonna give him like 200, 300.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole plan.
NBA YoungBoy just pulled the curtain back on Birdman, and what he exposed sent shockwaves through the entire hip-hop world. For years, Birdman has played the role of the wise OG, the loving father figure, the mentor who saved young artists when the industry turned its back on them. But according to YoungBoy, that image wasn't the full truth at all. Behind the hugs, the smiles, and all that talk about family, there was allegedly something far more calculated going on the whole time. This isn't just another rap beef or some internet drama moment. This is about manipulation, broken trust, and a young artist realizing the person he trusted like a father may have been playing him from the start. And when YoungBoy finally spoke his truth, it didn't sound like anger or revenge. It sounded like disappointment, pain, and a hard realization hitting all at once. Social media went into a frenzy when YoungBoy dropped Tears of War, a track that didn't even feel like a normal song. It felt more like a diary entry put on wax. Fans immediately noticed he wasn't sneak dissing or chasing attention. He was calling Birdman out directly, accusing him of misleading him, profiting off him, and pretending to care while moving strictly off business behind the scenes. Once people really listened to the lyrics, it became obvious this story ran way deeper than just one record. June 9th, 2024 was the day everything changed. YoungBoy was under house arrest in Utah, isolated, stressed, and fighting serious federal charges. Instead of dropping a hype song or ignoring the noise, he released a 6-minute emotional breakdown that shook the culture. No threats, no flexing, no tough talk, just raw emotion, regret, and truth spilling out line by line. This wasn't YoungBoy crashing out or being reckless. This was him finally seeing the game clearly for the first time. He wasn't attacking Birdman for clout. He was grieving the loss of a relationship he genuinely believed was real. That alone changes how people should look at the entire situation. What made this hit even harder was the history. Birdman has been accused of running the same play before, and his most famous example was Lil Wayne. That's when people really started connecting the dots. Same father-son language, same promises of greatness, same story ending in disappointment and legal battles. Back around 2018, YoungBoy was one of the hottest rappers alive. His streaming numbers were insane. His fan base was locked in. But the legal issues kept piling up, and Atlantic Records didn't know how to handle him anymore. He was talented but risky. That's when Birdman stepped in, not as a businessman first, but as family. For a young artist from Baton Rouge who had survived trauma, loss, and violence, that offer meant everything. Birdman wasn't just offering guidance or industry connections. He was filling an emotional gap. And that made YoungBoy trust him without questioning the details the way he probably should have. When Birdman entered NBA YoungBoy's life, it didn't feel like a business move at all. It felt like rescue. At that point, YoungBoy's career was exploding, but his personal life was spiraling just as fast. Court dates kept stacking up, legal pressure was nonstop, and the industry was starting to look at him like a risk instead of a rising star. Atlantic Records didn't know how to manage him anymore, and when labels reach that stage, support quietly starts disappearing. That's when Birdman showed up at the perfect time. Not with contracts first, not with paperwork, but with words. He spoke about family, loyalty, protection, legacy. He didn't treat YoungBoy like a problem to manage. He treated him like a son who just needed guidance. And for a young artist who had already lost people, survived violence, and never really had stable mentorship, that emotional connection mattered more than any advance. Birdman sold belief better than anyone in the industry. He reminded YoungBoy they were both from Louisiana. He told him he saw himself in him. He said he turned Lil Wayne from a kid into one of the greatest rappers ever. He helped Drake and Nicki rise to global superstardom. When someone with that resume tells you you're next, it doesn't feel like hype. It feels like destiny being spoken into existence. Publicly, Birdman played the role perfectly. He defended YoungBoy in interviews, called him the future of rap, praised his talent and work ethic. He stood next to him when other executives stayed silent. Their collaboration We Poppin' felt genuine, and when they announced the joint project From the Bayou, fans saw it as a powerful passing of the torch. an OG handing the keys to the next generation. But behind the scenes, the energy didn't match the talk. Projects moved slow. Communication felt inconsistent. Conversations about business stayed unclear. Money discussions never felt straight. And when emotions are involved, that's how control quietly forms. You don't press for details because you trust the person guiding you. You assume they have your best interest at heart. That's why Lil Wayne's warning ended up being so important. On his 2020 track Multiple Flows, Wayne dropped a line saying he warned YoungBoy about old heads. That wasn't a random lyric or a throwaway bar. That was lived experience speaking. Wayne had already been through this exact situation. He loved Birdman like a father. They had matching tattoos, public loyalty, years of praise and gratitude. But when it came time for Wayne to get what he was owed, everything flipped. Wayne ended up suing Birdman and Cash Money for $51 million in unpaid royalties. Albums were delayed, payments were withheld, promises were broken. Wayne survived that situation, but it nearly broke him. And YoungBoy, without realizing it, was stepping into a pattern that had already played out once before. Emotional loyalty came first. Business clarity came last. Once NBA YoungBoy started noticing the cracks, everything about the relationship began to feel different. What once felt like love started feeling conditional. What once felt like guidance slowly turned into pressure. The promises that sounded powerful in the beginning started feeling empty the longer time went on. When From the Bayou finally dropped in December 2021, fans immediately felt something was off. The project sounded more like a YoungBoy solo album than a true collaboration. Birdman barely appeared on the music, yet his name was stamped all over the project. That mattered because credits mean money, and it raised the question of who was really benefiting from the situation. Then more information started coming out behind the scenes. Industry insiders began saying Birdman didn't even pay for YoungBoy in the first place. Atlantic Records had allegedly given him up because they believed YoungBoy's legal problems were too heavy and his career might be finished. Instead of fighting to keep him, they cut their losses. Birdman later bragged about this himself in conversations with media figures. He said he would have paid $10 to $20 million for YoungBoy, but Atlantic was tired of him and let him go.
Not about to let my little bro the money out.
I know that.
I love him. And
I know that.
Keep this back. Cause they gonna give him like 200, 300.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole plan.
That comment changed how people viewed everything. While Birdman was telling YoungBoy he loved him like a son, he was celebrating getting him for free like a business win. That's not how family talks. That's how investors talk. By 2022 and 2023, YoungBoy fully started seeing through the image. The unconditional support he thought he had began disappearing when pressure increased. The father figure energy faded when things got complicated. Calls weren't answered the same. Promises weren't followed up on. And the protection he believed in didn't show up when it mattered most. Then April 2024 hit and everything came crashing down. Federal agents raided YoungBoy's home in Utah. He was facing serious charges, heavy stress, and the possibility of losing everything. That's when you find out who's really in your corner. And according to YoungBoy, the person who was supposed to stand with him wasn't there at all. That emotional collapse is what led to Tears of War. This wasn't a diss record. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't about proving toughness. It was about disappointment and realization. When YoungBoy said Birdman never really loved him and admitted he should have listened to Lil Wayne, that line hit hard for a reason. In the culture, admitting you were wrong takes strength. Admitting you trusted the wrong person takes even more. YoungBoy didn't hide from that truth. He put it out in the open for everyone to hear. He exposed how emotional closeness was used to blur business boundaries, how promises were made but never fulfilled, how loyalty was expected from him, but not returned the same way. What made the situation even heavier was how closely it mirrored Lil Wayne's past. Wayne had already lived this story. The love, the praise, the disappointment, the lawsuits, the feeling of being used by someone you called family. Once Tears of War dropped, the entire energy around NBA YoungBoy shifted overnight. This wasn't a song people argued about for bars or punchlines. This was a record people sat with in silence. You could hear the pain in his voice, the disappointment, the realization that something he believed in was never what it seemed. YoungBoy wasn't yelling or threatening anybody. He wasn't trying to prove toughness or dominance. He was talking about promises that never came true, support that disappeared when pressure hit, love that felt unconditional at first, but slowly showed limits. The person who claimed to be family wasn't there when things got real, and that realization cut deeper than any industry beef ever could. He also revealed how Birdman allegedly crossed personal boundaries. It wasn't just business advice or industry guidance. Birdman had inserted himself into YoungBoy's personal life in ways that blurred lines. When someone positions themselves as your father figure, you don't question their intentions. You trust them. And that trust, according to YoungBoy, was exactly what made the situation dangerous. What made everything even louder was Birdman's response, or lack of one. No long explanations, no public denials, no breakdown of the business details, just silence. And in hip-hop, silence speaks louder than any diss record. To many fans, it felt like the accusations were too accurate to argue with. This situation wasn't just about one artist calling out another. It exposed something much bigger about the music industry. Young artists, especially those coming from trauma and instability, are extremely vulnerable. Industry veterans know exactly what to say and when to say it. They offer guidance, protection, and family when artists are at their lowest. Once that emotional bond is formed, business becomes secondary. Contracts feel less important. Royalties feel like a future problem. And by the time artists realize what's happening, they're already deep in relationships built on imbalance. YoungBoy's story became a warning sign for anyone watching from the outside. Fans started revisiting Lil Wayne's past with new eyes. The lawsuits, the delayed albums, the public heartbreak. Suddenly, Wayne's warning to YoungBoy didn't sound bitter or random. It sounded like experience. 2 generations, same mentor, same outcome. YoungBoy speaking out sent shockwaves through the culture. Not because he was disrespectful, but because he was honest. He didn't hide his emotions. He didn't pretend everything was fine. He showed that betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it comes from people who say they love you. What made this moment powerful was that YoungBoy didn't try to look perfect. He admitted he ignored warnings. He admitted he trusted too easily. He admitted he wanted to believe the dream. In a culture where vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness, that kind of honesty hit different. And once that truth was out, it couldn't be taken back. The image of Birdman as a flawless mentor had cracks in it now. Whether people believed every detail or not, the conversation had changed forever. YoungBoy didn't just drop a song. He forced the culture to question how often family is used as leverage in an industry built on profit. Just when it seemed like the situation between NBA YoungBoy and Birdman was completely broken beyond repair, the story took a turn nobody saw coming. By August 2025, reports started surfacing that the two had quietly reconciled. No long speeches, no public apologies, just sudden appearances, shared moments, and Birdman popping back up in YoungBoy's circle like the fallout never happened. Birdman even joined YoungBoy on the Make America Slime Again tour, standing beside him on stage, smiling, hugging, and showing unity in front of thousands of fans. To some people watching, it looked like a beautiful healing moment, a father and son fixing their relationship, a powerful redemption arc in real time. But for others, the reconciliation raised way more questions than answers, because forgiveness doesn't automatically mean accountability. Just because 2 people stand together again doesn't mean the issues that caused the fallout were actually resolved. In the streets and in the industry, people started asking if this was genuine growth or just the same cycle restarting. A lot of fans wondered whether Birdman truly changed his approach or if he simply knew how to smooth things over. Was there real transparency this time, or were the same old power dynamics still in play behind closed doors? Did YoungBoy get clarity on the business side, or did peace come at the cost of unanswered questions? Those doubts didn't come from hate, they came from history. At the same time, many people defended YoungBoy's decision to move forward. This is someone who's been through non-stop trauma, legal battles, loss, isolation, constant pressure. Choosing peace doesn't make him weak, it makes him human. Sometimes survival means avoiding conflict instead of feeding it. But even with reconciliation, the truth YoungBoy already exposed couldn't be erased. Tears of war didn't disappear just because the relationship looked repaired. The pain was documented. The disappointment was spoken out loud. The emotional manipulation he described was already part of the public record. That's what made this situation different from most industry fallouts. YoungBoy didn't just walk away quietly, he told his side first. And once that truth is out there, it can't be pulled back. Fans, artists, and insiders had already started questioning mentorships, contracts, and family language in the industry. This reconciliation also forced people to look at how power works in hip-hop. Young artists often don't have the leverage they think they do. Even when they're successful, they're still navigating relationships with people who've been in the game for decades. That imbalance doesn't disappear overnight. Some fans saw the reunion as proof that growth is possible. Others saw it as a warning about how hard it is to truly break free from industry cycles. Both perspectives can exist at the same time. What matters is that YoungBoy already changed the conversation. Whether this reconciliation lasts or falls apart again, the impact is already locked in. YoungBoy showed that even the biggest names can be questioned. That mentorship isn't above scrutiny, and that loyalty should never come at the cost of clarity. At the end of the day, this situation goes way beyond NBA YoungBoy and Birdman. This is about power, control, and how the music industry really operates behind closed doors. YoungBoy's story just happened to shine a light on something that's been happening for decades, but rarely gets talked about this openly. The industry has always followed the same formula. Find young artists when they're hungry, traumatized, and still figuring life out. Offer them guidance, protection, and a sense of family. Tell them they're special, chosen, destined for greatness. Wrap business decisions in emotional language so contracts feel secondary. By the time artists realize what's happening, they're already emotionally locked in. That's why YoungBoy speaking up mattered so much. He didn't just complain about money. He exposed how manipulation can look like love, how control can hide behind mentorship, and how loyalty can be demanded without being returned. That kind of honesty doesn't just affect one relationship, it educates an entire generation watching from the outside. Lil Wayne's warning now hits harder than ever. It wasn't bitterness, it wasn't jealousy, it was survival advice from someone who already lived through the same pain. Wayne trusted Birdman like a father, defended him publicly, and still had to fight just to receive what he was owed. That wasn't ancient history, that was a blueprint repeating itself. Whether YoungBoy and Birdman's reconciliation lasts or not doesn't change what's already been revealed. The truth is out there, the culture heard it, and once artists start recognizing patterns instead of isolated incidents, the power balance begins to shift. YoungBoy choosing peace doesn't erase his experience. Growth doesn't always look like war. Sometimes it looks like protecting your mental health, focusing on your family, and moving smarter instead of louder. But choosing peace doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. The bigger question now isn't about Birdman at all. It's about the industry as a whole. How many young artists have gone through similar situations but stayed silent? How many careers were drained before they even reached their full potential? And how many powerful figures are still using emotional leverage instead of transparency? This moment should serve as a warning. Trust is powerful, but knowledge is protection. Mentorship should come with clarity, not confusion. Family language should never replace fair business. YoungBoy's story isn't just a cautionary tale. It's a wake-up call. It reminds artists that asking questions isn't disrespectful. Wanting transparency isn't betrayal. And loyalty shouldn't require sacrifice without explanation. No matter what happens next, the culture can't pretend it didn't hear what was said. The system didn't suddenly fix itself, but a crack has been made and light is coming through whether people like it or not. That's the real lesson in all of this. Not everybody who calls you family really has your best interests at heart. Not every mentor deserves blind trust. And sometimes, the most dangerous games are played by people smiling the hardest.